What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're talking about the brand new Adam Driver sci-fi dinosaur film 65. Written and directed by Scott Beck, who wrote this film alongside Brian Woods. This film stars people like Adam Driver, Ariana Greenblatt, Chloe Coleman, Nika King, and honestly, no one else. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video, like I mentioned right there in the intro, we're talking about 65, starring Adam Driver. And if you've seen the trailers for this movie, it's pretty much been marketed as Adam Driver versus dinosaurs in space. And right out of the gate, I'll go ahead and start off by saying that when I saw the trailers for this movie, I was all in. If you are a fan of the channel, if you've been watching me for quite some time, then you're gonna be not surprised at all to know that I'm a huge Adam Driver fan, especially Adam Driver in space, as I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan. I'm wearing a Star Wars hat, got my Star Wars shirt on, got my Star Wars sleeve in progress, and I think it goes without surprising most people who watch my channel that I love Star Wars. So a Star Wars actor back in space, yeah, I was all in. When I saw the trailer, I was 110% all in. I hadn't really talked about it here on the channel, but it was probably one of the films I was looking forward to the most, because beyond my love for sci-fi and monster films, kaiju films, whatever the case may be, I also love dinosaurs. I've also talked many times about how Jurassic Park was one of my favorite franchises growing up as a kid, and how as a kid I wanted to be a paleontologist. So you take an actor I love from a franchise I love with all of my heart and put him in a space sci-fi dinosaur film, and it just is right up my alley. So yeah, I heard a lot of negative going into this movie right beforehand, because when it came out this weekend, it was either this or Scream 6, and I had a feeling I was going to want to see Scream 6 more, and that it was going to be the one I was going to enjoy more. So I was like, all right, let me go see Scream 6 first. But I knew before the weekend was up that I needed to go see 65, because it was a movie I was really hyped about. And so the question is now, with all the negative reviews that have come out from critics and some of my YouTube peers and, you know, a lot of people at this point, is 65 worth your time? I'm going to go ahead and state that I think it's going to depend on who you are as a viewer. I'm happy to say I enjoyed this film. Did I love it? No. Did I like it as much as I was hoping I would have liked it? No. Did I dislike it? No. I do have some issues with this film, and I don't think it's a phenomenal film, but overall I was entertained. I was engaged throughout. I do have some issues again with the film, but overall I'm happy to say that I didn't hate or dislike the film, as it was something I was concerned with as I was going into the movie based on some of the early reception. And I think it's very important that before I get further in my review, that I mention that part of what I think leans me into enjoying a film like this a lot more is my love for sci-fi. It's one of my favorite genres of all time. Sci-fi and fantasy are some of my favorite genres of all time. So anything science fiction, anything that's got a bit of a over-the-top kind of, you know, futuristic approach is always going to be something that kind of piques my interest right out of the gate. That's not to say that there are not terrible sci-fi films, because there are plenty. But growing up as a kid, I used to love watching sci-fi films, B films, and monster films, dinosaur films, different things like that, spanning from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And so I've always had a special place in my heart for a good schlocky monster flick. And so when I started hearing some not so great things about this, I was hoping that at least that part of me that likes a good schlocky monster film was gonna have fun with this movie. And I think that part of me was what enjoyed this film the most. The base premise, if you've seen the trailer, and I won't get too deep into everything that happens here, because I will say that the marketing has leaned heavier into Adam Driver versus Dinosaur versus some of the little plot details that kind of give his character motivation. But he is a pilot of a starcraft that is going to be going on a trip for the next 2 years from his home planet that ends up crash landing. There was a bunch of people in cryostasis on this starship and ends up crash landing on a planet, and it turns out to be Earth, but 65 million or billion years ago. And so yeah, they end up crash landing on Earth in the age of the dinosaur, the prehistoric era of the world. And now you got Adam Driver coming from a different planet with high-tech equipment and weaponry and a suit and a spaceship, dealing with dinosaurs on planet Earth. And yeah, I thought that was a really interesting interesting premise when I saw the trailer. It was something that I thought was going to be a good fun time. And along the way, he ends up discovering that one of the people that was in cryostasis on the ship that he believed to be deceased was a young girl who actually survives. And now the two of them must work together to survive this planet and find a way to get off of Earth and not get killed by the dinosaurs. And that's the base premise of the film. I won't get too much further into what this film is all about, some of the small things, the character motivations and this, that, and the third. But yeah, you know, I want to say this is one of those movies where you have a somewhat weak script and screenplay that is really elevated by good performances here. I thought for the most part, Adam Driver is what made this film strong. This is an Adam Driver film that is more about Adam Driver's good performance versus him being given really good material. I think for the most part he did the best he could with the material he had, but there were plenty of moments throughout the course of this runtime where I kept thinking to myself, yeah, some of this dialogue isn't great. There are moments of the film that feel a little bit boring and a little bit uneventful. There are also elements about this film that feel incredibly convenient, and there are plenty of cliches throughout the course of the film. And the convenience was probably the thing that I had the most issue with, as throughout the course of the film there are times where our characters would get really injured to the point of bone dislocations, or even a point where one of the characters is foaming from the mouth. But unfortunately, it feels like everything is resolved super easily, and when there is something that kind of heightens the stakes, it's not long after that happens that we end up kind of, you know, fixing the situation, resolving the issue, and the characters are okay to continue on with their journey. So not too long into the film, once you've seen this happen a few times with these characters, there is a sense of feeling like you're not really worried about the characters, their well-being, and you can pretty much predict where the movie's going to end up going. But that didn't take me out from the movie. I still enjoyed watching the action. I think that there are some fun action set pieces here. I do think the film is well shot. I think the film has a pretty nice score that does really add to the atmosphere of the film. And beyond that, the film is mainly shot on a lot of practical locations, or at least it seemed like it was. There's a lot of actual location shooting that I think gave this film a nice sense of depth and atmosphere throughout the entirety of the film on the visual level. So that was something I definitely found myself really gripped into, was the look and the feel of the film. The cinematography and even the CGI at times was really solid, because even though this film does have a little bit more of a cartoony edge to the way that the dinosaurs look in comparison to something like Jurassic Park, I think all of the CGI really worked within the visual tone of this film to have a consistent look that never feels overly cartoony, nor does it ever feel like overly realistic. Now, where I will say that the tone of this film kind of shifted for me at times was that the film, for the most part, especially in the early part of the film, is played to be very serious. But as we're spending time with Adam Driver's character and the young girl Koa that he's taking care of and trying to save throughout the course of this film, we have these little moments of humor between the two of them that's trying to build their chemistry and trying to get us more latched on to them spending time together. And there were a couple of moments throughout those sequences where I kind of felt like the humor wasn't as strong, that the humor didn't land. The theater I was in maybe had a couple of chuckles here and there, but for the most part was kind of silent during the humor. And I think a lot of that had to do with kind of a clashing tone from this film feeling fairly serious and high stakes at times, and then having this kind of silly humor with music that kind of accompanied the humor that I didn't always feel landed. But beyond that, I honestly found this to be a good time at the theaters. Is it something I think everybody should rush to theaters to see? No, I think if this is something that you see the trailer for and it seems like something you really want to see, then go check it out. I think you should definitely go make your own opinion on it. Maybe you won't like it as much as I did. Maybe you'll like it more than I did. Maybe you'll like it just as much as I did. Do I think this is going to be an Oscar nominee by the time we get to the end of this year? Absolutely not. But I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people are saying it to be. I would say take a look at the trailer and see if it seems like something that you'd really be into. I could totally see how this movie is not going to work for everybody, but I had a good time. I think that when I look at the really poor scores online, especially on Rotten Tomatoes and different things like that, I was expecting a far worse film, and overall I was entertained, I was engaged. Was it a little slow at times? Sure. Was it a little uneventful at times? Sure. Was there some convenient elements and some elements about the story that overall are just cliche? Absolutely. Could the story have been stronger? Could the characterization been stronger? Absolutely. But as a, shut your mind off for an hour and a half, action sci-fi film with Adam Driver at the center shooting up some dinosaurs throughout the course of the film, I found myself entertained. It's a movie that I had a good time with, and that's pretty much all I can say on 65. So a big thanks to you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I definitely want to hear down below in the comments what you guys thought about 65. Are you going to see it? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Where did you land when it comes to 65? Were you like me and thought that Adam Driver kind of saved the movie and made it far better than it could have been in the hands of a different actor? Or you just kind of think, yeah, no, this was not for me? Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, so hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.